Nancy, did you see my email about the numbering of the resolutions?
Yes.
I'll handle it. Which is fine.
It's a difference.
I'm the crutch of the council.
We're just so important.
A little low and down.
How can you call that great? Usually it's just us carrying on each other for 7 o'clock. It's nice though.
I agree. Nancy, are you ready?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, 30 seconds.
I started the recording just.
You did?
Yes.
And I started 6:59 and 40 seconds.
You can start whenever you'd like.
Okay. Good evening,
It'll still
everyone.
be 7 o'clock.
Well, by the time I start now. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the meeting of the borough's mayor and council for the borough of Peapack And Gladstone. Tonight is February 13th, 2024. It is 7 o'clock p.m. And I'd like to call this meeting to order, excuse me. And before we do the sunshine notice, as I am doing right now, out of respect for these proceedings, will you kindly silence your cell phones. Thank you. Okay, Nancy, may I have sunshine notice?
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the 2024 meeting dates was published in the Courier News and the Bernardsville News on December 14, 2023, and posted at the Municipal Complex and the Borough Library. Action may be taken.
Will everyone please stand and join us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Nancy, a roll call, please.
Councilwoman Murphy.
Here.
Councilman Portello.
Here.
Councilman Silva.
Here.
Councilwoman Sueda. Here. Council President Sweeney.
Here.
Councilwoman Weibel. Here. Mayor Corleone.
Here. And I'd like to take a moment to welcome our new borough attorney. It's his first meeting, Mr. Stephen Warner at the end.
Thank you.
Welcome and happy to have you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Privileged to be here.
Okay. We're going to start out with public comments on non-agenda items. These are for those residents who wish to address the council on a matter not on our agenda. If there's anybody who has a non-agenda item, please feel free to step forward to the podium. Seeing none, I'll close a non-agenda public comment and we move on to old business. Council members, any items of old business we have for tonight that is not already on the agenda? Great. Seeing none, how about new business? Great. Seeing none. And now we have some miscellaneous discussions and approvals. We're going to start out with a special use permit application applied for by the Farhouse Country Day School for a casino night to be held at Blairsden on April 20th, 2024. The applicant is here tonight, and they're here to speak, so why don't you come up and address the council, please, at the podium. We ask that you state your name, your position with Farhouse Country Day, and your address.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us tonight. I'm Georgia Zeiser. I'm the head of school at Farhouse Country Day School. It's my 29th year, and I'm happy to be here to share any information regarding our application for this special use permit. Do I just share and then you ask me questions? Okay, sounds good. So as you know, Farhouse Country Day School right down the road is a preschool through 8 school. We are going to use the proceeds from the casino night. Anthony Melillo here has generously offered to share Blairsden Mansion so we can have our event there. We are keen on raising funds for our school for a variety of projects to support the children there. And we're excited to have this event there, have done a lot of spade work beforehand to get things up and running, and we're hoping that we will have the use of that and also through the permit and all the other application stuff that we filed here with the borough. I can share more details about the event if you need it.
Yes, and we'll sure you'll have some questions.
Sure. So specifically, the event should have anywhere from 150 to 190 guests, 10 school personnel. We are looking to strengthen our community, cultivate donors, and identify future volunteer leaders in our community. And it is serving as our primary fundraiser for 2024. We do 2 per year, but this is our largest fundraising event. And as we go through, certainly we've, have all the documents filed here with the borough. And my hope is that it can be a lovely, elegant evening you can share with our parents, former trustees, board of trustees, past parents, and alums to come back, celebrate all the wonderful things that happen at Farhouse Country Day School as we are inching towards our 100th anniversary. I'm excited to take the school to the next century.
Very good. Council members, I know you all have had time to look at this application. Do you have any questions for the applicant?
Well, just, I think it's important to have this on the record. The hours for the event, will there be music? Will there be any additional outside lighting for parking?
Sure, absolutely. We will have valet parking, and I believe we've worked away and we've spoken with some of the neighbors and worked an entryway through Matheny, so we won't be bothering any residential neighbors. We will have valet parking. I don't believe there's any extra lighting. There's no band or dance floor. As a matter of fact, there's a Frank Sinatra singer that will be providing some lounge singing, but that's inside in the internal room. And what was the other question there? Did I answer one?
Hours.
Oh, hours. It's 6 to 10. 6 to 10 p.m. And it will close up, but it's nothing that's going to run longer. I mean, we will be there to make sure everything's squared away before we head off the campus.
Council members?
Fine was the only question I was going to have.
Sure.
I have a question about the waiving of the fee. Peapack Gladstone will end up incurring associated costs for inspections.
Okay.
So I don't really think that the fee should be waived.
Okay. That's fine.
I'm not sure
No,
what we're talking about there.
$1,000.
You're gonna have
The-
fire,
the-
right?
Yes, but that's a separate application, and they've already paid that separate
And how about
application
our
to Steve.
electrical?
No, we don't need electrical, it's only,
That
only the fire.
$1,000 fee under the ordinance would essentially be for borough professionals if we were having it reviewed in front of the land use board.
I just have that. It's actually an escrow fee that is not used, it's given back to the applicant. So I did ask for a waiver, but we have paid for a fire permit for a state field service.
How much is that?
It was $54. That's what our application fee is. And so Steve did, and that has been taken care of.
I would concur with Councilwoman Sueda. I would take the escrow fee,
Okay.
and if we don't use it, how's that?
Sounds
Is everyone okay with that? I don't know if we're gonna have anything come up with this, as it gets closer.
I do have one question. Will there be security or a higher police officer on?
We have security on staff here. We have former Chief Valentine from Bernardsville and former Chief Skinner from your neck of the woods here that support our security efforts at Fort Hill. So we'll make sure that we have that covered as well.
This is your first time at Gladstone's event?
It is. I've lived in the area 30 years and I've actually never been there, so I'm quite excited. I mean,
Just wondering.
yeah, it's not something that we've ever done before.
All right, thank you for presenting.
Sure thing.
I know that the property owner is here. Before we move on to the next step, does any council member have any questions for the property owner?
Thank
If you're late, you can stay up there.
Oh, sure.
Well, actually, no, you can sit as well. I'm gonna do this meeting a little bit differently. Typically on an application like this, we would hold public comment till the end of the meeting on agenda items. However, I know there are residents here who have a great interest in this event, okay? And I'm gonna open it up to the public with a motion from the council. And the public wishes to come up, state your name and address, and it is questions to the applicant. Let's be clear about that. And it is questions to the applicant about the application. So if you're asking the applicant about, well, is the road going to be plowed, that's not relevant to that, an outlier question, but just please keep that in mind with respect to this meeting. So, a motion and second to open the public comment.
So moved.
Second.
Nancy, a roll call, please.
Councilwoman Murphy,
Yes.
Councilman Portello,
Aye.
Councilwoman. Councilman Silva,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sueda,
Aye.
Council President Sweeney,
Aye.
Councilwoman Weigel.
Aye.
Okay. The meeting is now open for public comment on this application. So if any member of the public wishes to make a comment, public questions on this application. Thank you. If any member of the public wishes to have a question for the applicant or the property owner, please come forward, name and address, please.
Good evening, I'm Ruth Williams, 29 Highland Avenue, and just a couple of questions for you. Where did the number 150 to 195 guests come from? What was that based on?
Excuse me, the population of our school and looking at former numbers of other events we've done, we tend to get around that number of people.
Okay, and how many save the date cards were mailed out?
290 or so. We usually get 50% attendance.
Okay, because one of the reasons I'm asking the question is the council has the right to impose conditions. And it would seem to be logical that there be some margin for error, let's call it 25%, but there's actually a cap on the event. One of the things we learned with the Mansion in May event at Blairson is that the numbers were wildly more successful, and I hope they are for you as well, but a lot more attendance than was expected. Okay. Is there a number at which you would turn away guests?
We've never had more than, I think, 175. I mean, it costs to attend the event, so some people choose not to participate. So, and it's also, people are very busy in the springtime, so we usually shoot for around 150. And that's been historic for probably our last 10 years of events at the school.
Okay. And where are the cars going to be parked?
Yeah, so a mix of the two, as we've done in other events. So a few of the cars will be parked in the painting. Majority of the cars are parked on site. There's a flat portion of the property on top that's accessible by drive, and that's where the valet will be parked.
Okay. Okay.
And just to clarify, when you say accessible by drive, it's the Matheny access, not Blair's Drive.
Oh, it's actually a drive on the property,
Okay.
so you can get there while you're on
Any other member of the public wish to speak? Welcome.
Hi, can I address one question for Anthony, or do I have to?
Name and address, please.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Erin Pagerio, 26 Blair Drive. Back.
Hi, Aaron.
Hi.
Erin, before you speak, Anthony, would you, just for the record, because this is being recorded, just state your name, address, and what your relationship to the application as owner?
Yeah, Anthony Malillo, managing partner, Malillo Equities, owner of property indirectly.
Yeah, it's a simple question. So one of the things I've noticed with the events that they've had up there is that it's not just the event itself. Actually, usually the event itself, the traffic from a safety perspective is fairly manageable. You have police telling people to go slowly. It's all of the production leading up to it. It's the staff. It's whatever construction needs to be done. It's the floor. It's the who knows. It usually lasts somewhere between 3 to 6 days. So is there going to be how is that going to be handled? Will it be sent on Blair? What kind of impact do you think that'll have on Highland? Is my question.
So there will certainly be a truck for rental tables and chairs and whatnot. I would assume a portage on. I would assume food and catering, which is similar to most of the events we have.
Yeah.
Most of that could be done within a handful of trucks, 5, maybe more. But Nathaniel's been gracious enough to allow us to use their entrance and egress, so it shouldn't be an impact on Blair Road specifically, so your residents, but
historically it's not
would,
5 trucks though leading up to an event that you have there. Historically, it's quite a few.
well, specific to this type of event.
This type of event.
Yes.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be 3 to 6 days, it would be the day of.
The day of.
Right. Maybe Friday afternoon, but it's not a long drawn out.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
then a Sunday, Monday, obviously, for cleanup, so just assuming trucks come, leave, pick up, take away.
Okay. And if it's more than 150 people, or if it seems like it's a lot more that's being stated now, is it up to us as the residents to let you know? I don't know how this works. Like, is it up to us to watch and let you know if that's not abided by? Because there have been other events there over the last few years and there weren't permits obtained, and I feel like it's on us to say something, and I'm not really sure what the procedure is.
So can we just make a comment if you don't mind?
Mm-hmm.
At least from the applicant's perspective, they'll commit to no more than 195 people, so it's not an estimate. Just make it very,
Okay.
very simple.
Okay.
Mr. Warner, you had a comment on that?
Certainly, Mayor, I was going to say, certainly members of the public have a right to advise and inform the clerk of what's occurred, but I was going to say there was no cap. Now there is apparently a voluntary cap of 195, so that can be done. But also, I don't know if the applicant wishes to agree to a mechanism by which that can be reported by the applicant to confirm for the borough that they did not exceed that cap.
We have a guest list.
We have
so
a
of course we do. Yeah.
And your question is relevant to disturbance past the event, correct? Is that what you were asking?
Yeah,
What your action, what
I
action you can take?
I've just seen, I mean, the local kind of community events are obviously much smaller scale and good for the community and all that, but some of the larger events for profit, film productions that have happened up there have had a huge impact on the street and the town. I know this isn't the forum, but I don't really know what other opportunity I have to ask the question, will there be permits for every single one of the events that happen in the future? And are we going to have an opportunity to speak with you about it? And if there isn't a permit and there is an event, is he going to be fined? What do we do?
These events all do need to be permitted. It's a residential zone.
Right. What happens if they're not permitted? Like, it's been a couple of years.
After we get through with this application,
We'll touch on that.
allow me to take a minute and explain
Awesome. Thank
the
you.
borough's position going forward on
Thank
this
you.
and other events, which I'm happy you asked, because you want me to invite me.
Great. Thank you.
Okay? And if you have a question about that, happy to answer it.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Is there anybody else who wishes to comment, or I'm sorry, question on this application to the applicant? Please come up.
I'm Walter Terry. I live at 25 Blair Drive.
Hi, Mr. Chairman.
And my concern is a little bit more holistic. I would assume that Far Hills is sending out invitations correct?
Yes.
So you know how many invitations are gonna be accepted.
Yes.
So once it's 180,
Mhm.
you cut that off. Is that correct? You leave a little margin there because some people might show up.
Yes.
By the way, I'm a Far Hills Country Day School.
I don't remember we talked on the phone.
Yeah, we did.
That's me.
And I'm all for it. I love it.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure there's controls over what we all do. You know, we can all say there's a special permit. They can say we're going to be 300 cars up there and anything else. But what is the number? You know, for Far Hills Country Day School, they're sending out and they're receiving contributions. They know exactly what. But if you start going beyond that, you know, a movie shoot, you know, maybe you know,
Well, Mr. Terry, with respect to the applicant, I believe that's going beyond the application at hand, and we can, as the mayor said, we can address broader concerns about the use of flares and for other events. So I wouldn't mind holding that comment potentially if it doesn't directly relate to the application.
okay, fair enough.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anyone else from the public wish to comment? Or questions for the applicants? Seeing none, council members, deliberations.
I think I'm more than happy to move the application with a cap of 195, and the resolution also needs to contain the hours for the event as well.
Just a question on that, John. 195 would include the total or guests, not including staff? Just to be specific.
Well, I heard a cap 195, so is that?
Plus up to
is that
10
cap- is
staff
that cap
members?
only?
10 staff members. Does that include those working the event?
Right.
That's my question
Caterers
for you.
and all-
Right, because I think in
don't
the
know how
last
to-
station you said maybe 40 people working, is that what it was?
Yeah, the guests up to 195 and 10 personnel, you know, such as us working the event. Beyond that, caterers and stuff, I mean, that will greatly impact the benefit of the event if we have to include all the staff members on the guest list and fully respect the fact that this is, you know, we're a school trying to do right by our application, and I want to be respectful of the residents. But with 195 guests, and they will, you know, it's a controlled environment, and we will, you know, it's a school event, it's not a leisure.
Correct. I just wanted to confirm 195 for guests, up to 10 staff, and then,
Yes.
you know, obviously, professional services
Sure.
is what it is.
Yes, that's on the application as well.
Yeah.
All right, so no further comments on from the council? Okay, we don't typically, do the resolutions now, we typically hold it to the end. But I did hear somebody move to make a resolution. You wanna move that now?
We should move it now.
Okay, do you wanna modify it, you wanna do it as modified, to include the conditions that were just imposed? I heard hours, and I heard,
And I think it has to be very clear that the hours are just for the entertainment portion, the actual casino event versus the prep time and cleanup time.
Correct.
The resolution is fine. I would add a whereas clause to the effect of whereas the applicant has represented that the number of guests will not exceed 195, and has represented that the hours of the event will be from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and move it on that basis.
you good with that, Nancy?
That's fine.
Okay, you got it though?
I'll listen to what he
Okay.
said. I can't take steno, so.
All right, so I hear a motion on the floor.
A second.
Okay. Any further comments? Nancy, a roll call, please.
Councilwoman Murphy,
Yes.
Councilman Portello,
Aye.
Councilman Silva,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sueda. Aye. Council President Sweeney,
Aye.
Councilwoman Weibel. Aye.
Okay, very good, motion passes. Allow me a minute to make a comment on behalf of the borough. Okay? Your borough is very concerned about misuse of properties for commercial purposes. This property, Blair's is indeed a gem and an asset to our town. It is not a typical home, okay? If there's one thing that came out of the event, at least the one that I attended, is is that people have a great interest in seeing this property, and they very much appreciate the owners having shared it. Okay? It is rare, it is unique, it is fun to be at. Okay? And the borough recognizes that. In fact, the borough's master plan even has a historic preservation element in it that actually has something to say about the use of historical properties. Okay? That having been said, the borough also recognizes that unfortunately Blairsden's access is extremely compromised, and it is in a residential neighborhood. And the borough also respects the privacy of the neighbors who live in that neighborhood. 2 events occurred there last year. There was not a special permit being issued for either one. No one seemed to have a major problem with those 2 benefits. One was for SHIP, which is the one I attended, and one was for music in the Somerset Hills, which was held in Montreal River. Okay? In hindsight, should a special use permit should have been issued? Yeah, probably so. But it's been many years since a special use permit has even been asked for here. There's new people. I think it perhaps fell between the cracks. I wouldn't even say intentionally. Those events were held with good purpose, and the mansion was offered with sincerity. Okay? However, there was an event up at the mansion thereafter. It was a movie shoot. It created great consternation. I received a number of phone calls. Okay? Absolutely, a special use permit should have been issued for that event, for that building, with careful consideration by the folks who represent you sitting on the left and right side of me. The borough's learned from all this. The borough met with Mr. Malillo, who agreed that going forward, special use applications would be applied for any event going on up at Blairsden that he wishes to use. Most especially because it is still a residence and is still in a residential zone, the borough will not permit, unless there's some unusual circumstance, any commercial endeavor up there. It is not zoned for that, and the borough will hold to its zoning. However, there are events like this one, like Far Hills Country Day, that is a philanthropic event, and the borough honestly likes to see to a limit the building, the property shared, and other people enjoying it, especially when it benefits others. So the borough will consider special use applications in that regard, meaning nonprofit, philanthropic, that type of thing. To make it crystal clear, the borough is not looking for special use applications from Mr. Malillo or Malillo Equities or the owners of Building Blairsden for events that are unique to their family. If they wish to have a 20-person dinner up there, a private dinner for their family, that is their right and entitlement, just like all of you have that same right in your house. Okay? And I'm saying this for a reason, if they should want to have a private family wedding up there, I don't think we would look for a use permit for that out there. Okay? That's only reasonable. Okay? And I understand that might be in the works at some point, right? So that is the borough's position on Blairsden. We've learned from this. Actually, out of it came, there's nothing to hide here. Out of it came a new special use application that was jointly developed by our zoning officer, our administrator, and that Mr. Malillo used along with Far Hills Country Day to submit this application. And I doubt I'm certain that I'm pretty certain we're going to learn from that, and we will probably modify it in the future to ensure that the interests of our residents, as well as the interests of the property, are properly represented. Okay? If you wish to address my comments now, you have to wait till the end of the meeting, because I'm not opening this up to public again. But I'd love to hear if you have any comment on that when we get to public session, public comments on the agenda. All right, council, let's move on. Raffle license application for the Far Hills Country Day School event on April 20th. Everyone saw the application to the state. Okay, any comments or questions?
No issues coming back from the state on this?
It doesn't go to the state until after you,
After us?
until
It's a
after
state
you have
application,
approval.
right?
But it's a state application, everything is filled correctly, and they have paid the fees that they needed to pay to us and to the state, so.
Okay. There is a resolution on, I'll hold that resolution to the end, or if anybody.
No, that's not for a raffle license. That's for
Any
their,
special.
no, that's for their social affairs permit, which is
I'm sorry,
different.
alcohol. Okay.
That's the alcohol part.
So the council will have to give consent on this.
Consent.
Okay, very good. Let's move on to a facilities usage application from the library for use of the gymnasium for a Star Lab experience on April 27th. Any questions regarding that application? Seeing none, council consent.
Concur.
And lastly, we have a facilities usage application from the Boy Scout Pack 150 for the use of the Scout cabin for 4 hours for a ceremony on March 3rd. Any questions on that?
Sounds great.
Okay, that's great. Consent, council?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Let's move on to reading and approval of minutes. I'm going to do these as a consent. We have the executive session meeting minutes of January 15th, the executive session meeting minutes of January 23rd, and the regular meeting minutes of January 23rd. Motion and second, please. Okay, comments? All right, Nancy, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Portello?
Aye.
Councilman Silva?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sueda? Aye. Council President Sweeney?
Abstain as to January 15th, aye as to the meeting on the 23rd.
Councilwoman Marble?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Let's move on. We have 2 ordinance introductions tonight. The first one is introduction of ordinance 1136/2024, a 2024 COLA ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limit and establish a cap bank. May I have a motion and second, please, to introduce?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Portello?
Aye.
Councilman Silva?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sueda? Aye. Council President Sweeney?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marble?
Aye.
Okay, COLA ordinance 1136/2024 is introduced and shall be published in summary in the Burnsville News, and that the public hearing for this capital ordinance shall be held on March 26, 2024 at 7 o'clock p.m. or shortly thereafter. An introduction of ordinance 1137/2024, amending Chapter 7, titled Traffic of the Revised General Ordinances, subsection 715, titled Vehicles Over Designated Weight Excluded from Certain Streets. Motion and second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Portello?
Aye.
Councilman Silva?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sueda? Aye. Council President Sweeney?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marble?
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 1137/2024 is introduced and shall be published in summary in the Burlington News, and the public hearing for this ordinance shall be held on March 26, 2024 at 7 o'clock p.m. or thereafter. Moving on to resolutions by the way, Councilman, this is your first ordinance you've presented. Well done. Pretty early in the
All
year.
the credits, Nancy.
Okay. Council members, would you please take a look at resolutions 43-24 through 56-20, excuse me, 50, it's actually 53-24, 1 second, and then 55-24 through 56-24. So just so you know, the numbers in our agenda are not consistent with the documents. So there's a slight error in how they're worded.
You
So-
already,
I know, but the number was off. So
yes.
what I'm asking for is for you to look at every one except for the one that we passed, which is the approval for the casino, for the Fargo's Country Day Casino. All right, so just look at the titles, and then we'll straighten the numbers out. There was a typo. And what I'd like to know is if you'd like to pull any of one of these for discussion, and we will pass the remainder of them on a consent agenda.
I don't need to pull any.
Thank you, Jamie.
I'm all right with consent.
Good.
I'm good at consent.
Good. Okay. Motion and second on the consent agenda to approve said resolutions.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Nancy.
Councilwoman Murphy.
Yes.
Councilman Cortello.
Aye.
Councilman Silva.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sueda.
Aye.
Council President Sweeney.
Aye.
Councilwoman Weigel.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Moving on to bills list, resolution 57-24. Does any council member have any item on the bill payment list which they wish to have pulled for discussion?
I had one question, I don't have the bill list pulled up, I apologize. There was mention in multiple sites about, blankets, I mean, they were all under the firehouse, so are they fire blankets, or they were listed multiple times, some at quite some expense, and some.
It says a blanket, it's a blanket, purchase order
Okay,
that's done,
so-
so that we pull from that.
Oh, I see.
And so the general description says blanket on
Okay,
it.
I haven't noticed that before.
Because we started something, we're trying to make it more
I see,
consistent
so I was
this year.
like, what is overall?
No, that's what the blanket is for.
That's warm. I was like, wow.
So we're trying to encumber the
Okay,
money.
different wording
before-
than usual.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
awesome.
we're trying to make it a little bit more consistent on how we're
Thank you,
doing
I
it.
appreciate that.
Good question. Any other questions from the council members? Seeing, Nancy, did I have you read the amount?
No.
Amount, please.
$381,455.17.
Motion and second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Murphy.
Yes.
Councilman Cortello.
Aye.
Councilman Silva.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sueda.
Aye.
Council President Sweeney.
Aye.
Councilwoman Weigel.
Aye.
Okay, so payment is ready to go. Let's move on to council reports. Does any council member have a report they wish to present this evening?
Yes. Just want to, first of all, thank the DPW, everyone involved on the cleanup today. Unbelievable job with the turnover. Also for roads report, Brad reported to me that Holland Road Water Main passed all the tests and the fire hydrants are active. Customer hookup on the new service over the next 2 months, weather permitting. So I appreciate that report as well and the constant update. They did a phenomenal job and the turnover was rather quickly. And it was super cold and the weather variables as well. So thank you, Brad.
Well, anyone else?
Council doesn't, I do have a couple of things.
Okay.
The library renovation bid is out and we'll be accepting bids on Tuesday, March 12th. So that is a very exciting thing at this point. Working on the solid waste because our contract is up at the end of June, so we're working on that bid right now, and hopefully that'll be out by the end of the month, so we can get that going. And then I attended a reorg meeting for our statewide insurance company, which was also celebrating their 30th year in existence, and we have been with them all 30 years. And we did get a plaque for that, but I did not take that back with me. And we also received for 2023 for consistent commitment and implementation of best safety practices. So for 2023, we received that award, which is basically more for DPW because they're the ones who do it. So,
Well done, team.
Thank you.
Council, you have anything for us?
Yes, again, I want to thank the mayor and council for giving me the opportunity and privilege to represent as the borough attorney. As you know, the borough has a special place in my heart, and it will stay that way as I continue to represent the borough, mayor and council, so thank you.
I have a short report for tonight. I have 3 items. The first one is, you may have all heard about Energize New Jersey. Energize New Jersey is it's not an acronym, but it's a pleasant phrase for the electric public utilities in New Jersey looking to get permission from the BPU to make massive improvements in the electrical infrastructure in New Jersey. From our own personal experience, our infrastructure here could use some work. They are looking for town support in the form of a letter to the BPU in support of this program. Okay? It is a public utility, so you have to expect that the cost if they don't have this money saved or set aside or accrued for. So it's going to involve what they call a very modest increase in electric rates. Because of my impression, at least, of our infrastructure in the town and how often certain parts of our town lose power, I do believe this program is time to upgrade our infrastructure. So I would like council consent to send a letter to the DPU in support of energizing trees.
Do they specify what changes they make, like underground wiring or?
Underground wiring is not happening, but things, for example, of replacing both power lines, telephone poles or power poles, replacement of fuses with circuit breakers. So if a line trips, it resets automatically rather than having to send a crew out. So basically bolstering the infrastructure. And they have sent me, I have documentation on basically what they're presenting. And I do believe some of it will filter down to our town.
I'll certainly be in support of that.
I could be in support of that, although frankly, I think they should be maintaining the infrastructure as they go along for the bills that we already pay them. So it seems to me that this is kind of just a ruse to get a rate increase from the DPU.
I don't disagree with that. They should have been maintaining it all along, but they haven't, and it's going on.
Do they have any idea of what kind of increase they're looking at? Is there a percentage that was given?
When they wrote me on it, they said a modest increase, so no, they don't.
Modest is a pretty general term.
It's very general.
In general, the electrical infrastructure across the country is outdated by at least 50 years in most all areas. There's a big push for moving off the grid and moving into microgrid and nano-grid technology for this purpose. So I think this might actually be in response to a lot of what the public and private sector is doing to account for that.
Jamie, just to answer your question, I'm looking at some of the documentation they sent me. And I'll just read you one excerpt. New Jersey has a need for increased reliability to our electric distribution infrastructure. Upgrading power lines to carry more electricity and make the lines more durable against the weather emergencies, along with the integration of smart grid technology, makes for a more reliable system. It allows for the integration of renewable energy resources, which are key in mitigating greenhouse gas emissions and addressing climate change and broader state goals. And they go on to how it affects jobs and so forth and so on. I'd be happy to send the templates out to all you, and you can give me your consent at the next meeting. But I do think it's important that we support this effort. So I heard one consent, right? I'm not hearing everybody.
I'll consent to supporting it. I'm suspicious of them.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Suspicious too.
I will hold it. I'm not hearing anything, so I will hold it. All right, very good. Let's move on to my next item. I wanted to update you that I had a meeting with Bill Kemp, the president or the CEO of Matheny, last Friday. It was a very productive meeting. We had the meeting because we had discussed when he presented to council and the public last April or May it was, that he would be getting back to us with an update. He wanted to let me know about their progress with sourcing a new location, group homes and the like, and he will be sending, I don't even have to come, a written report is sufficient that he will be sending to us in late April. Okay. And our meeting was productive and I felt comfortable with it. They are planning to have miles from the meeting on their own campus this year. Okay. The third item I have for you is last Monday, I had a meeting with the mayors and chiefs of the 5 Somerset Hills towns. And the purpose of the meeting was basically driven by the increasing rate of automobile thefts that have been occurring in some of our towns. And I have to say, Peapack, although we've had automobile thefts here, is not one of the ones where there was a substantial increase. The biggest increases were in Bridgewater and Burns, obviously both over major highways. We discussed it with the chiefs. I have to tell you, one of the chiefs was great. He said, don't fool yourself. This is all because of bail reform. This is driven by both bail reform and messaging coming down from the Attorney General's office to not prosecute. Meaning that if somebody's kids, whoever, steals a car, they are oftentimes being let go. The police, the message that came from the chiefs is that they are strong in their efforts to pursue that. To this end, the mayors have decided to form a Somerset Hills Safety Task Force, of which I am part of. We have our first meeting tomorrow at 4 o'clock electronically. And we're going to be looking at some ways where we can perhaps synergize our efforts to ensure that this crime that occurs not only in our town, but in all the 5 towns, does not increase, in fact, look to decrease. We were presented with a very interesting idea, which we have not discussed yet. It only came over on email the last day or so, where Summit actually passed an ordinance they passed an ordinance where they can enforce it. In other words, if the state is or the county is not willing to arrest these people, the ordinance would allow the town to arrest and charge them. Steve, you'll probably help me with this at some point. But we're going to discuss that tomorrow night. And it's an ordinance I may bring you to for analysis and proposal. Whether it's upheld in Summit, we'll see. Summit just passed it, but it caught everyone's eye. It was an interesting way to supersede some of the messaging that's coming down.
I would take a wait and see on that, just because I think there's an issue of preemption by the state.
There might be.
We can't just create ordinances of lesser included offenses.
I think everyone's waiting to see what Summit, how far Summit can enforce it. So, but anyway, the bottom line is that this task force is concerned about what's happening here. We don't want it to increase, we want it to decrease. And we're sharing numbers and sharing other data and other ideas. We do think that amongst the 5 of us go to the county and say, give us some help, give us some police and some cars to position at the exits and the entrances to the highways, that would be a great deterrent. Not so much in Peapack and Gladstone, in fact, not at all in Peapack and Gladstone, but really off of the 78 and 27 corridors, which affects us indirectly.
But it does affect us, because if they hit a house in this town, they're still getting on the highway.
That's right. That's right. I don't know if you know this. If somebody steals a car and they drive over the line, the chase is cut off by direction of the state. And with our local police, can't even call state police, because state police is so strapped with personnel, they don't have anybody to help respond. So once the car's on the highway, it's gone. And so what I'm further hearing, this is interesting, the cars go right down to Port Newark, get loaded into a container, and they're on the ship over the St. Louis. That's what happens to stolen cars. So, the simplest thing, and now I'm addressing residents, the simplest thing you can do is keep your car locked, okay? Don't leave the keys in it. I will tell you that in Bernard's, 4 of the stolen cars, and the number was up near 8 or 10, 4 of the stolen cars had keys in them. Okay? There was actually it occurred here, one incident here at Peapack, where the thieves actually entered the home looking for the keys to the car. Okay, so don't hang the keys by your back door, kind of thing. But keep your house locked, keep your car locked. It's the simplest thing everyone can do to prevent crime. And I've had a number of residents say, if I'm not living here, if I can't leave my front door unlocked, you know what? I tell them, lock your front door. It's a very, very simple measure. So that's my report. Okay, moving on to public comments. So these are public comments on agenda items only. So anything we just discussed on our agenda, if you have a comment on that, please come up. Seeing none, I will close public comments on agenda. Is there any further business by any member of the council? Okay. We need to go into an executive session to discuss some matters, so I'm going to ask for a motion and a second on...
Larry, we could go into executive session.
Whatever, yeah.
We have a police issue to discuss.
We have a resolution of, it's 42-24, executive session. So a motion and second, please.
Second.
Roll call, please, Nancy.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Portello?
Aye.
Councilman Silva?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sueda? Aye. Council President Sweeney?
Aye.
Councilwoman Weibel?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you all very much for attending. We love seeing people here. Come again. Come again.
Thank you.
Good luck with your event.
You're welcome.
Yes, I will take care of all of that tomorrow or Thursday. I will. You're welcome.
Last question.
Sure.
Sure. You